At first glance, you might not know what this is, or why it's rolling down the road. This guy jogging down the road with his dog is trying to figure it out too. We'll get into exactly what this is in a moment. There's an old saying someone said, food can be a vehicle for social change. It brings people together in a way that very few activities can. I believe there's truth to that old saying. After all, we're all foodies. We all eat. There's something profoundly satisfying about making and sharing a meal, eating together, breaking bread together. It's one of the oldest and most fundamentally unifying of human experiences. Now let's get back to what this thing is and why it's rolling down some back road somewhere on the Oregon coast. This is the Concessionaire, the best-selling wood-fired oven on the planet. Its overall length is 12 foot 4 inches long, it's almost 7 feet tall, has a 48-inch hearth, has 25 square feet of storage under the oven. It's got leveling jacks, rubber shock-mounted lights. It exceeds federal highway safety standards. Its optimal cooking temperature is 650 degrees on the deck, and it will cook a large pizza in 90 seconds. That's 60 to 70 pizzas per hour. This is truly a thing of beauty. If you haven't had pizza cooked in a wood-fired oven, then you haven't had good pizza. But what does all this have to do with anything? Let me introduce you to someone first. Meet Frank Murphy. Born in Dublin, Ireland, he started his culinary career in 1982 and eventually made his way across the pond working in award-winning hotels and restaurants in the United States. He is now the culinary arts teacher at North Bend High School in the small town of North Bend, Oregon. And recently he was recognized as Educator of the Year by the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. Chef Murphy, he had an idea.
So I was trying to come up with a program or bring something in that gave my classes a bit of a panache, something a little different. I also needed to be able to raise money for my program. Our budget was pretty low. And I knew that when I took over this culinary program here at North Bend High School. And I had thought, well, I can do some catering. I did a lot of catering in my life. I had a restaurant beforehand, and I just decided to move that catering into the school. But we needed to bring something else in. So I'd been thinking a few years previous, when I had my little cafe, of adding a wood-fired oven. And I just couldn't make it happen at the time. But it went back in the back of my mind, and I was kind of letting it sit there. And I was sitting here in this kitchen. It wasn't quite like the same it is now, but it was sitting here trying to figure out different things. And we have a little garden outside. So I thought, well, maybe I could just build a wood-fired oven out there. I had built one at home and I had just finished it. And I thought, the kids would kind of like that. Didn't cost too much money. I'm sure I could get some of the other teachers to help me and stuff. And then got an opportunity. We got a grant, a State Pathways Funds grant, and it was for about $45,000. And it was to bring in some new stuff in. Totally unexpected. It was a new grant. We didn't even have to fill out anything for it. It was just like, got an email to say that I had $45,000. So I started thinking, what am I going to do with this? And back in the back of my mind, the wood-fired oven started popping in. In the research that I've done, I realized, hey, the kids would love it. wood fire, pizza, the dough, learning how the dough, the sauces, all that sort of stuff, the running of it. I was kind of thinking that would be a great program to have. My only issue was trying to convince our administration to go with it. And Jake will tell you, they thought I was kind of crazy for a while. He told me that they were talking among themselves, thinking I'd gone off the wall, wanted to spend $30-something thousand on a wood-fired oven, a mobile wood-fired oven.
You want to spend how much on a wood-fired pizza oven? So our chef Frank Murphy came to the administration with what we thought at the time was a harebrained idea about buying a pizza oven for $30,000 in a small school district with a small budget, and everybody was obviously scared right at first, but looking back at it, he had a vision that none of the rest of us had, and it has been one of the coolest things to happen in our community.
I called Firewood Inn and ended up talking to Ajay Dharma, and he was like really enthused about it. He was like, hey, let's make this happen. This could be a good thing. He was probably seeing the educational part of it before I even seen it. This oven arrived, and I had in my mind the things that I was going to be able to do with it. Obviously, I was going to be able to teach the students all about dough and stuff, and they could see it right to the end and see the finished product. I was thinking, if we do business with it, they'll learn all the business parts and the food and stuff, or the money part of it, dealing with customers. And I was kind of, had worked all that out, and I knew where I could do my lessons and everything like that. But the part that I didn't quite get, that never entered my mind when I was looking at this, was the actual impact it had with a large slice of our population here in the school. They're all teenagers. And if you stop and think for a minute, you have pizza and you have fire. What teenager doesn't like both of those? And in my culinary classes, I already had quite a few of our student body that they weren't too keen on math and English and science and stuff. They loved culinary because it was hands-on, and they loved learning it. But they weren't so keen on going to those other classes. And it was always a struggle to keep them in school. When I would look at the attendance thing, they were in my classes, but they were skipping for a lot of the other classes. So what seemed to happen then was they got into this oven. And we started doing some little catering jobs. Some of them were just in the school here. And then we started going out further around the town and the county and so. And if they came out and did a catering job, you would see them light up. It was the oddest thing. These are kids that nobody's ever said, you did a good job. Nobody's ever gave them a pat on the back. They're usually in trouble. But now they weren't in trouble. When they come into my room, they leave their baggage outside and they come in here and they can relax. So when they got out there with that oven, I just seen them light up. When you have a person come up to them and say, that was wonderful pizza, nobody's ever said that to them before. They'd smile, they'd look for me, they'd look at me and go, wow.
One of the greatest benefits that we've seen from the pizza oven is the way it draws kids in from a big variety of backgrounds. Kids that maybe don't participate in sports or in clubs or don't have anything else at the high school that they can cling on to. They can build a community around the pizza oven, and it really has a way of building confidence in the kids. They can produce something that impresses all kinds of people, and they all have their niche, and they feel that family and the community around the pizza oven, and it really makes it, you can see how it changes those kids and changes them as people and as students.
So if we want kids to be successful in school and achieve their goals, they've got to have goals and they've got to feel engaged with something at school. For some it's athletics, for some it's the academics or the performing arts. Chef Murphy's program provides another group of students and students from all other groups to find a way to connect and be engaged with each other as peers and with an instructor through Chef Murphy and with our community through the pizza ovens service to football games and through catered events. And this has led to an increase in student retention towards graduation. So students that might have fallen into a category where they were at risk to leave school before they graduated in the past are staying in large in our school, and we're able to tie that directly to involvement in our CTE programs and in Chef Murphy's culinary program with the pizza oven and catering business.
I had this student, every time I think of the beginning part, I just laugh, and I would fire him every day. He had quite a mouth on him. He didn't want to be told what to do. We'd come in, sometimes he'd be 2 minutes in the door and I'd have fired him and he'd be back out the door. Couldn't go to the office or anything, but I would tell him, get outside. Sometimes I would I would shout at him. I'd say, get out of my kitchen. And this would go on. It went on and on and on. And I was sure he was going to give up. I just wanted to turn him around, but I had to fire him. But I brought him back every day. It was a new bridge. The water went under the bridge, whatever. But it was a new day. And he would come in. He might last 5 minutes. He might last 1 minute. The odd time he'd last almost to the end of class. And this went on. And he came and he did a little catering with us, but it was the same thing. He'd always do something to mess up. And, but then one day he comes to me and he says, I got to change. So he starts and he gets through class and he's doing the catering part and he's getting involved with the pizza. And that really got him caught. And he graduates. He comes to me at graduation. He looks me up. I can remember this, they're all coming out and he stops and he gives me this big hug. This little kid almost strangled me with a hug. And he says, thank you, Chef, because if you hadn't fired me all of those times, I would never have graduated. If I didn't get involved with those catering gigs, if I didn't get involved with that wood-fired oven, I would not have graduated. I don't know where I would be now. He went on to culinary school. He's working in some nice restaurants. And he texts me and he sends me pictures all the time of the food that he's done. And there's plenty more stories just like that. So when our students work with the wood-fired oven, there are the obvious skills that you come up with, right? So we make the dough from scratch. We make our sauce from scratch. We do our sausage. We do salamis. We can our pepperonis. We do all the prep work. We set up the oven. We put up all our canopies. We make everything look professional. They check each other on their uniforms. They check how everything looks. They learn to toss pizzas. They learn to take money. They learn to take orders from people for whatever they want. They learn how to put together the menu and change the menu around. But the biggest thing, I think, is the confidence. So we got these kids who never had a pat on their back, who kind of struggle, and now they stand tall. Their shoulders are up, their head's up. They can talk about the oven. They got a smile on their face and they can talk to a customer and tell them about the oven. And they have pride in that oven. They help each other. They train each other. when some kid goes to start off for the first time, they might just be cutting the pizzas and putting them into boxes. They're not taking the money, they're not taking the orders, they're not making the pizzas, they're not running the oven. But they're there, but they're also getting thank yous. We've got people patting them on the back and saying, great pizza, you see them light up. And then they come to me and they say, Chef, when's the next one? I want to do this again. I want to earn my Blazing Bulldogs jacket. So they have to work about 14 hours out in the field to earn that jacket, and it's become like a coveted item. These kids that don't belong as such. If you look at the student body, you have the football players, you have the soccer players, you have the music program, you've got the metal shop kids, you've got all of these cliques that are on. But we have a lot of kids that are not belong to any of these cliques. They've kind of fallen through the cracks. And quite a few of those are the ones that are struggling. And that's where this oven comes in. It seems to catch those kids. And they get out there, they start to work, their peers are training them. Their peers are telling them to get off their phone, take their headphones out of their ears, etc. They police each other. But it's a community member who goes and pats them on the back and says, brilliant pizza, loved it. And see a smile on that person's face. And then you see the smile on that kid's face. And you know that you have them hooked now. And now they belong. But to be part of it, they need to be in school. They need to stay in school. And they're willing to go to their math classes and their English classes and stuff. They'll tell me how if they're doing better. I don't tell them that you have to have an A to be able to come down here. No, you don't. If you can just go to those classes and pass, then you're welcome here. So CTE programs, I think are the key. We have these sections, of students across. Some students are destined to go to college and go on to be engineers or whatever they want to be. But we have plenty of kids who want the hands-on stuff, who want to look and maybe become chefs or become metalworkers or into construction trade. We also have programs in CT that maybe set them up for other careers, that get them kind of thinking about it. Our graphic arts, our medical programs. And we're setting up and opening up doors and getting their minds to realize that there's so many careers out there, and there's something for them. And a school that doesn't have a CTE program, a robust CTE program, I think is failing their students.
On this particular day, Chef Murphy got up at 4 a.m. and was at the school by 5 a.m. He had a long day planned with his students, a test run, so to speak, to get the kids prepared for the next event. In recent years, our public education across our great country has gotten a bad rap. But let me remind you, there are teachers that really care, and they're trying real hard to make a difference. Many teachers like Chef Murphy are not only doing the best jobs they can, they do their jobs quite well. Rumor has it there was a staff meeting during the beginning of this school year in which a rookie first-year teacher asked Chef Murphy, "What advice can you give me for a first-year teacher?" Chef Murphy replied, "Well, I'll just let you hear it in his own words."
Listen to the kids, watch, learn from them, don't give up on them. Don't be too serious with them. Treat them with respect and be positive all the time. If you're positive with them, they will step up to the plate.
talk about pizza. Let's go get some pizza.